start the record. Okay, so would you guys like to take a minute and just introduce yourselves?
Yeah, so I'm Jordyn. I'm Tova's mom.
And I'm Kyle. I'm Tova's father.
How many Tova's your youngest, right?
Yes,
Yes.
So how many kids do you guys have?
we have five.
Five. So when do any of the others have EB of any
No,
form?
no.
No. So when Tova was born, what was that like? What was that experience like for you guys?
Let you go ahead.
For me, having the four before, I, I had some experience in it, so I definitely knew that something was wrong as soon as I seen that Tova was, she was out of the womb or whatever. So it definitely was, she was missing skin around her fingertips. And I noticed as they laid her on Jordyn, her skin was actually sticking to Jordyn's skin, and it was like coming off as they were holding each other. She was holding Tova, so it was kind of very alarming in those moments. And the nurses and doctors didn't know what the heck was going on, so it made us feel very unsure of everything. And so it's definitely a situation where I feel there needs to be more brought, to the nurses and things like that, so that they understand what this is. And maybe prior testing and stuff should be always pushed instead of waved off kind of thing. So
Jordan, what was that like for you to be holding your daughter and feeling like just holding her, you're taking her skin off?
Um, I was really, I was concerned and I didn't, I guess, know right away until after, right? Because I just gave birth and I'm holding my baby and I'm so happy I could hear her crying, which was beautiful. So in my mind, she was okay. And then I started looking at, her fingers and her toes, and I was like, oh, like what's going on with her fingers? And I'm looking at the nurses and the doctors, and they didn't really have um,
ooh,
any clue what was going on. They were just as stumped as we were, right?
yeah.
So what was that medical journey like for you guys? So they didn't know. So then what happened? How did you arrive to the diagnosis of EB?
So our journey to get there was a lot different than many others. Tova was born naturally at 39 weeks, but she was induced.
Yeah.
And the only reason that she was induced is because I was getting closer to the end of my pregnancy, like closer to the 40 weeks. And we were so far away from a major hospital, and the anesthesiologist was leaving. So they said, just in case we need to do an emergency C-section, we need to either plan for you to go stay in a major city, or she's term, so we'll just take her a week early. And I was like, that sounds great to me, right? And so that was, she was everything was normal with delivery and everything. And then having her and her missing the skin on her fingers, I was kind of expecting a little bit of more direction. And now looking back, they probably should have sent us to a larger center at that time, but they released us the next day.
Sent us home. Yeah.
And they said, just put Vaseline on it, and, dermatology will call you. And hopefully, so Tova wasn't seen by dermatology until about 20 days old.
Okay.
And at that time, she had more blistering and sloughing all over her
Yeah.
skin. And then even then, dermatology was like, well, this is what it looks like, but here's some like a requisition for blood work. So
So the
I
dermatology,
think
when
it
she was
was
20
like, I
days
think she was,
old, did tell you it looks like EB, but we have to have blood work to
yeah,
confirm. Okay.
yeah.
So
And
when you heard it was okay, that's EB, what did that mean to you? Anything? Had you heard of it before or?
so in the
I haven't.
hospital, when I first had her in the hospital, it was kind of like they didn't say anything about it, but I remember when I was younger, I read or I watched a documentary or something about a butterfly child. And all I could think of in the hospital was, oh my goodness, like is this what Tova has? It's the only time I had ever heard of it, and my heart broke for the person at that time. So it was kind of crazy to go back and revisit all of that memory of watching that documentary. So I kind of had, I don't want to say an idea, but an idea in a sense. Like it was kind of something that had crossed my mind. But yeah, when they said that, so she was, I think, 3 months old when the blood work finally came back, and she was they told me that her LAMP3 gene was affected, so she had junctional EB. And at that point, I was kind of, I was scared. I was really scared because with that came the whole, like babies with junctional EB, they don't usually see their first birthday, and you'll be lucky to get 5 years with her, and it's a a kind of trickle effect where they're like, if she makes this milestone, you might not get the next one. And so that kind of was overwhelming for us, I think.
Yeah, they kind
Yeah.
of made it like a big deal that she most definitely won't make it to her first birthday. But
And she just celebrated
so
her second birthday, right?
She
yeah,
did, yeah.
so in the first year we kind of lived almost as if that was going to happen. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so it put a lot on us, and it was yeah, it was a scary time. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
What about the process of learning how to care for her? So you've got this diagnosis, but what a learning curve to figure out how to bandage wounds and all the other things that come along with it. So what was that process like for you guys?
That was it was actually really hard. Because when we got her, so before we even got her diagnosis at 20 days, when we seen dermatology said, I will email you a list of bandages that you're able to use on her. If it's not on this list, don't use it. Um, so I kind of took this list of bandages and brought it to home care in Saskatchewan, which is,
Okay.
it's through the government. They help with some supplies and things like that. So I brought it to them and I said, what of this can you guys bring in? Like Tova needs bandages. And from there it was a learning curve on, what out of that list, what does work for Tova and what doesn't work for Tova. So, and then they said, um, like home care didn't have any clue on how to bandage or take care of the like to dress these wounds or anything. So it
Kind of
was
just
all kind of,
treated her like a burn victim in a sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was for the past 2 years, I've learned and learned and learned just through experience
And
on
through the
doing it.
Facebook group
Yeah.
and other TikTok videos we've watched.
Yeah.
And so it's
Yeah. We learn a lot through social media.
yeah,
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
people who've been in our shoes. So
hmm What
yeah.
is like her care routine? How often does she have to have bandage changes and bath days and stuff like that?
So she has a bleach bath every other day. And a bleach bath is just like a tiny bit of bleach in with her bath water. And then other than that, so that's a full bandage change every other day. And then on days, if a bandage gets dirty or if I can see that the wound is a little bit, more weepy, like her sides get kind of yucky, sometimes I just bandage as is.
Mhm.
So sometimes I'm bandaging 2 or 3 times a day, depending on where it is and what kind of things we're doing and how weepy her wounds are, just to
Yeah.
prevent any,
Or
infections or
how
more
bad
breakdown.
diaper leaks as well.
Yeah, so Tova's bandaged from her ankles up to, her torso. So if there's a nasty diaper, then we're changing
Changing
all
it.
those bandages all around. It could be her torso as well as her legs. And yeah.
How long does a bandage change slash bath experience take for you guys?
So on bath days, it takes from start to finish probably close to 3 hours, just because there's a lot involved.
Mhm. Yeah. I've heard that being a parent to a kid with EB is a full-time job. And I mean, is that your experience too? Do you guys, like Jordyn, do you work, or Kyle, do you work? Like what's
Yeah,
the situation there?
I work full time, and my wife was working full time, but with the G tube thing coming up, she chose to take pretty much a leave of absence.
Mhm.
so that she can care for Tova and give her everything. So
Mm.
there's not really a
Um,
planned thing to go back to work for her, but it's just that door is always open if she wants, right?
Right. What about caring for her while you're gone? How do you, I mean, do you have caretakers that are familiar with her needs?
no, it's just Kyle and I.
Our daughter too,
Yeah.
our
So we
youngest,
have
our not our youngest daughter, but
we have older children. So Tova's the youngest, the oldest is 15. So over the summer months we had some of our both of our older children helping with Tova. Thankfully, my work schedule is nice where I go for a couple hours, come home for a couple hours. So it's just a couple hours at a time, which is really good. But over the winter time, Kyle's usually at home. I think this year it'll look a lot different, but he works seasonal. So he's working all summer long, all away. And then over the winter time, he's able to stay home. So usually he stays home and cares for Tova. But I think, like we said, I think this year is going to be a little bit different just with Tova's needs are getting, not that they haven't been prior very extensive, but I think with everything that's going on now, it's just a little bit more, right?
Yeah. So you mentioned the G tube. So let's talk about that for people who are unfamiliar. It's just a skin disease. Why does she need a G tube? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think everybody with EB struggle. Well, maybe I'm over speaking there, but most people with EB do struggle with things like weight gain and nutrition and vitamin and mineral deficiencies. So Tova's been struggling since birth with weight gain, and we have had times where she's gained really good and it's went really well, but then other times where she's not gaining at all.
she catch a cold and won't eat for a week or
Yeah, so she also has an her airway is also affected by EB. Therefore, when her airway is like when she's very stridorous, she doesn't want to eat anything. I'm thinking that maybe it hurts or I don't really know. So we it was brought up to us a couple times about, the G tube being an option. And this last time, I think it was June. It was prior to June actually. I got a phone call from her GI doctor, and she said that Tova's falling further and further and further from the growth curve that, when you go for your children's shots, they have a curve and they say, well, this is height and this is weight and this is where they, 50% or 75%. So Tova was below the 3%. So she was not on the curve by any means. So she just said it's getting worse and worse where she's not able to catch up. So the only advice she had for us was Tova needs to get a G tube. And
What's it like sending her into surgery? Yeah,
oh
sorry.
my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
That is horrible.
Yeah.
It's hard because, there's a lot that goes into
And they explain it to you and you're just like listening to them. They got to sew things inside of her and they're like, well, how's that going to heal? And it was scary. It's a lot to think of, right?
Well, and
you can't see it.
The fact that her airway is affected and she has to be intubated in order to be, with anesthesia, it's dangerous no matter who you are, right? But with an EB child, I think it's that much more just because there's so much more involved. Tova has a really awesome ENT, and every time she's gone under anesthesia, he's been in the room for her. And he said, even if he's not doing anything, he'll continue to be in the room for her. We always go back to the Alberta Children's Hospital, which is where he works. And he says, anytime she's booked in for OR, he'll make time to be there just to make sure things go smoothly. He knows her airway and he knows, all of the things. So that's really good,
Amazing.
but it's definitely scary.
Yeah. And so you talked about where she goes, but I don't think a lot of people understand how far of a drive that is. How far do you have to drive for her normal care? Like, well, to go
So
to the doctors and stuff.
all of Tova's specialists are about 6.5 hours away from home. So we live in Saskatchewan. All of her specialists are in Alberta. And we do that specifically because her care in Saskatchewan was kind of knocked off a little bit. Like
It wasn't where Alberta's
Yeah.
Children's Hospital was. Like as soon as we got there, they admitted Tova like day one. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Where Saskatchewan was kind of like, no, no, she's fine. Just don't worry about her. She's okay. You know, she doesn't have no infections. Everything's okay.
Yeah. When I brought her to Alberta and they kind of had a different say on everything. They
She's all
admitted
right.
her for failure to thrive and she had infection and all of the things that are natural with EB but need to be treated. Whereas in Saskatchewan, they weren't, they were like, oh no, it's fine. Like there's no infection and she's
Is
doing
there an
okay.
actual EB clinic at Alberta, or is just specialists that just kind of have a general understanding of EB?
Actually,
Like a lot of them have done studies
what
from
happened?
meeting Tova
Yeah,
too.
I think that so there's a few other kids in Alberta that have EB. Um, but I know for a fact that Tova's doctors specifically all communicate with the Toronto Sick Kids Hospital, which is Canada's EB center. It's the only EB clinic that we have in Canada. And I think they only run it, I want to say once a month or once every other month, where
Wow.
it's all the EB families or kids go there. But Toronto is much further away from
Yeah.
us. But like I said, every one of Tova's specialists communicate with the Sick Kids Hospital and the doctor there that cares for the EB families out of Toronto in that side of Canada. So they all kind of present Tova's case when needed and they get advice from there. But a lot of the doctors and nurses actually, I say she has epidermolysis bullosa, and they kind of are like clueless. They don't know what I'm talking about.
Have you guys as a family discussed like maybe we need to move to Toronto, or like how has that affected your like, well, we were happy right here in Saskatchewan, but now like what do we do? Have you guys had to have those conversations?
Yeah, we've actually spoke about moving to the States
Oh, really?
because I think that some things are, for what I remember, was better out there, right? They have more for EB anyway.
Yeah. So
Even now, like
all of the I don't want to call them treatments, but managements that are available in the US are not available in Canada. And right now, Tova's dermatologist is trying to apply to Health Canada to have something brought in for her, but that could take a
What
long
kind
time. And
of treatments are you referring to exactly that are available in these
so I
states?
yeah, so the Filsavez is unavailable in Canada, and that's I know it's just a topical thing, but I mean, what if
if
it
it helps, it
helps?
helps. You know,
Yeah, can
maybe
you
want
And
to try
explain
it.
what that is for people who have no clue what that medicine
so
is?
Filsavez is a topical ointment that's prescribed to EB patients, and it's made from birch triterpenes. And I guess it's supposed to, some people have wonderful things to say about how you apply it and it helps replace the proteins and heal the skin. Other people, I mean, it's what works for one might not work for the next.
But it's
But
supposed to help the wounds heal a little bit faster.
That's
Is
right.
that,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and
It's,
whether it works or not, we want to try, right? Like
yeah.
it's if it can help our daughter, we want to try
Mm-hmm.
it. So
And then same with like there's a couple other ones and like a lot of the studies, they're not accepting patients from Canada. Vijuvic, I think it's for um, just a different subtype of EB. Those are also available in the US where they're not available in Canada.
there's a certain eye drop too, isn't there? There's something called Fly
Yeah, there's a couple other things that they're kind of finishing the
in
clinical
America though.
trials on right now that are going to become available
Yeah.
that won't come available in Canada.
On the
So
flip side of that, in Canada, how about like wound care supplies? Because I know in the States, it's frequently not covered by insurance and people are paying tens of thousands of dollars a month just to get wound care
Yes.
supplies. Is that something you guys have to deal with in Canada, or is that covered by your healthcare?
So it actually really depends on which province you're in. So if we were to move to Alberta, for instance, we pay out of pocket for all of our wound care. In
Oh, wow.
Saskatchewan, thankfully, I don't pay out of pocket for wound care. They supply that.
but now
In
it also depends how much they have on stock too, how much we get, right? So
Mhm.
it's we could ask for something, but whether or not they have enough to give, or so it's kind of a depend kind of thing, right? We can pick and choose what we get.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Earlier, we talked a little bit about how your kids are helping you. So your older kids help with Tova. And I know your oldest is 15. What are the ages of your other children? Besides, I know Tova's 2, your oldest is 15.
So we have a 15, 13, 7, and 4, and then Tova's 2.
So how has it been? I mean, showing up as a parent for your 4 other children when you have such a medically complex 2-year-old. What is that like for you guys?
Oh, that's tough. It
Sometimes
really
it's
is. Yeah.
sometimes it's unfair for the other kids,
Hmm.
but like the best way I could say it is there was a baseball game, or not a game, it was a game actually my son was supposed to go to, but it was like rainy weather, and I honestly thought he was just going to catch a cold, bring it home, and possibly send it to Tova. So I made that decision to not allow him to play in that game, considering the weather, and that affected him. You know what I mean? He was mad, he was sad, and so
And
it's a
if you
choice
didn't
that
have Tova, you could have let him play because, okay, you get a cold, but you get a cold. That's not devastating to most kids,
No,
right?
yeah.
no,
So
but
it
it
was
is
hard.
for Tova. And
Right.
our kids are so amazing that they completely understand. Like our kids are so family orientated anyway that
Yeah.
they understand. Yes, it breaks their heart sometimes. I think that Tova's not able to do the things that a normal 2-year-old can do, or as a family, we can't do the things that we would be able to do if Tova did not have EB. But like I said, our kids are so amazing. They really understand and they accept it, and they treasure Tova.
And it's
I
in
think
the
about, oh,
summertime.
sorry.
Sorry, and in the summertime we have to be done basically our activities by like 1 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
because after that it's just too hot for her to be out. So as before with our kids, we could be out all day with them, with
Mm-hmm.
hat and sunscreen, and so that affects them as well too, with what we can actually do. Now we have
Mm-hmm.
to find things inside to do with AC, and
Mm-hmm.
so just wanted to add that too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think about like my son who's 4 and when his little sister was born. I mean, she's not medically complex, but he just instinctively knew that, you got to be gentle with baby, and I think that
Hmm.
it's a testament to how resilient children are and they just kind of know
Mm-hmm.
how, oh, okay, she's special and she needs, different need things.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that's awesome that your kids are handling it so well. And I love that your older kids are willing to help you out with bandage changes and stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about like Tova's milestones. So she's 2. Most 2-year-olds are walking, talking. Tell me about her.
So I think a lot due to Tova's issue with weight gain and retaining the
Nutrients and
nutrients and the calories and all of the things. She's very delayed, like she doesn't have the muscle mass that most children do, as well as the bone density.
basically everything she was getting in was just helping heal her wounds essentially, and not actually going towards bone growth and things like
Mhm.
that, right?
That's a
So
great
So,
point. People don't realize that it costs calories to heal something, and that
yeah.
protein is required to have
yeah.
antibodies and to heal. So kids with EB, not only like if they were to eat a normal amount of calories, that would be going all to wound
That's right.
healing, but they need even more and they just
Yeah.
can't get it. So,
Yeah.
And it's hard to force her to eat it when she just is already full and
Yeah.
she
She
can't.
doesn't want it.
right.
Well, especially because inside of her mouth, she gets sores and blisters, and her tongue and her teeth are affected. And so, if her mouth hurts, she doesn't want to put anything in it,
Mhm.
you
Of
know?
course.
So, it makes it really hard for her to be able to gain as well as supply all of the areas of her body that she needs those nutrients. So, with that being said, Tova is very delayed on like crawling and walking, and she's starting to stand holding things, which is really good. She's learning to use those muscles. She's starting to learn to crawl. She hasn't really gone anywhere yet, but she's up on her hands and knees, and she moves her hands and she moves her knees, just not together.
Does that
So it's
terrify you? Are you worried
yes,
about tearing her skin more when she
Yeah.
crawls? Or like you want her to meet these milestones, but also I don't want you to because please stay in a
Almost
bubble.
yes,
wanted her to skip the crawling and go right to walking in a sense, right?
yeah.
But then I watch other videos of people with EB and their babies just scooting across, right?
Yeah.
And so it's, I don't know.
So it is very terrifying, but I know that if I'm able to wrap enough cushion and keep my floor cushiony enough, that maybe we can prevent some of the blistering. And not only is the
It's gonna happen.
blistering bad, but it's the sloughing of the skin. Like a blister is great when we can just pop it and let the roof kind of lay back down and heal as is. But when the skin sloughs, that's hard because you've got like there's nothing there, right? It's just so those ones are the tough ones that really worry me too, right?
Yeah. How many infections does Tova get in a typical month or year? Is it every week? Is it, what's that
Um,
like for you guys?
no, Tova's actually on long-term antibiotics, as a prevention, not as a treatment, which I think works out really well. And then it's like the little things like, if her fingers, because she has no nails on her nail beds and they're really having a hard time healing, sometimes they kind of get extra red and look not so great. So we just put like an ointment on it for a week or so and hope and pray that it helps. But I don't know if there's necessarily like a specific number or a specific span, right? It's kind of hit or miss. Some months she does amazing with zero infection, and then the next month it's almost like it's one after another. We're constantly battling something.
Yeah. Since she was born and left the hospital, how many times has she had to go back? Not just for, I know you have to drive 6.5 hours just to go see her doctors, but like,
Mhm.
has she been admitted for multiple day stays due to illness or any reason?
Yeah, so I'm gonna say
Lots, at least 4 or 5.
yeah, I was gonna say in the first year it was for sure like 4 or 5 in that one year. Her second year was kind of a little bit easier because we understood a little bit more, but even that it was about three times in her second year.
What is she going and being admitted for? Like, was it because she was failure to thrive or not eating? What was it exactly that you were like,
So
something's not right here?
failure to thrive was the first one, and that was a serious one. She had anytime that she gets a cold, which is really sad. But if I feel like she's not okay, as soon as Tova gets a temperature, we go to the hospital and she's admitted.
Yeah.
Because in temperature means infection, right? And I'm worried about infections getting so bad they go into her blood. And there's a lot of things that worry me there.
So it's just a lot of checking on her and checking
Yeah.
on the blood and waiting and waiting and waiting.
So, and then last summer, right before her or right after her birthday, my older kids ended up with a stomach flu and gave it to Tova. And the other kids had it for 2 days max, and that was the end of it. Tova fought for 2 weeks and ended up one morning. She woke up like she was getting all the fluids, everything. I thought everything was good. She woke up one morning and she just did not look like herself. Like she looked dehydrated. I brought her in and she spent 9 days in the hospital, and she, ever since, like, her electrolytes have been out of balance, and we've been struggling with lots and lots from that specific episode right there. But yeah, just like a typical stomach flu that you and I would have for 2 days and get over, it took Tova.
No, she had that cough. What's that one?
Oh, she had RSV too. In
October, I want to say.
No, it was December, January,
Okay.
the end of
And I can
December.
imagine that's even worse because every time she coughs, oh my gosh, I can imagine the damage it does to her throat.
Yeah, it was really bad. So she ended up in the hospital for that, unfortunately. And I'm so happy that the hospitals are so amazing with her.
Mhm.
And I'm
I
there.
know that the G-tube surgery was scary, but are you a little bit relieved now knowing that hopefully she'll be able to get the nutrients that it's been so hard getting into her? Or what's that?
For
How's that
sure.
So
feel?
she got the G tube on Friday, and we went for a checkup appointment. What was it? Wednesday, and she had already gained 0.24 kg,
Mhm.
which is half a pound, which is
Really
astonishing
good.
considering the
How much
struggle that we've been having with
to
getting
get her to hit
her.
a point 0.3 of a kg? Like it was, we had to
Yeah.
feed her a lot, like constantly, and like double buttering her stuff and just
Mhm.
extra everything. You know what I mean?
I
So.
like to double butter my bread, but I probably shouldn't. So, knowing that that's helping her so much, would your advice to any EB parent be like, go get a G-tube ASAP, or
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, and it's funny because I was so scared of it that I almost feel like I prevented it happening sooner because I was so terrified. But now
Yeah.
that she has it, I was like, this really, I know I'm only in like it's only been a week, just over a week, but I'm so happy that she has it because I can guarantee that she gets what she needs.
right?
And yeah, I would definitely advise if it's needed, don't hesitate because I mean, we're already wrapping all these wounds anyways. We already know how to do wound care. That
Well,
was my main concern was that there's now another wound on her body that I have to worry for infection and care for.
another thing too is when we seen Brookie and how well she was really doing. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
so. And Jordyn had conversations with her mother, Morgan, and it was just like a no-brainer at that point. It
Yeah.
was
Now,
we
Brookie
have to.
also has a trach. Is that something that you guys are considering for Tova?
So again, it's a little bit more than a G tube, but I did have a conversation with Tova's ENT, and he said that if we continue to have the issues that we're having with Tova's airway,
More
then
dilations.
because right now Tova goes for dilations where essentially they put a tube in her airway, blow it up, and then bring it back down, fill it with steroid, and that's that. But if that doesn't do what it's supposed to do long term, he said that we're unfortunately going to have to look at scheduling something because it's better to schedule it so he can do it surgically properly versus having to do it in an emergency
An
situation.
emergency.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Mm.
of course, we would do anything for Tova and so that she thrives the best that she can. So if it comes down to that, for sure she'll get a trach.
Yeah. And I think the first time the G tube was brought up, so was the trach, and it was just a lot on our minds to think of two new holes being poked in her and
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff, and it was
Yeah,
a lot.
it
I'm just gonna
was.
check on the voice.
Yeah.
So I know with Brookie, just from watching her videos, that she doesn't speak because of the trach, I guess. We need to interview Morgan too. But does Tova currently say any words or sound or vocalize or anything? And then like, would you be scared of that going away if she has to have a trach? I mean, it's obviously better to breathe than not breathe, but
Mm.
what's that like for you?
So Tova her voice box is webbed. So essentially where your vocal cords come like this together to make vibration, which makes your voice, hers is essentially a hole. Like there's no, so she's got no vibration. So she doesn't really have a voice, but she makes noises through like her airway and through that what voice box she does have. And she does say a few things. Do I think that a trach would stop her from saying those things? I don't really know.
So how does she
I mean,
communicate with you? If she only is making a few noises, does she sign? I mean, how do you know what she wants?
she does say words, she mouths the words. You can kind of hear what she's saying. Um, she does know some sign language, like a few things, but we ask her questions a lot and she's good with yes or no. Um, she points and she's so funny. If I'm holding her and she wants to go somewhere. So we were at Chuck E. Cheese the other day and I'm holding her and we're watching the kids play games and she pokes my nose. So I look at her and she points to where she wants to go. And it's the cutest thing. And she keeps doing it until I get her attention and bring her where she wants to go. So sweet. But yeah,
That
she
is
she
sweet.
gets her point across.
Yeah. Well, it's really sweet. Like, I mean, I'm going through those moments with my daughter who's 10 months old, who's a typical child, but I love like watching her personality and going, "Oh, you're a human," you know? And
Yeah,
so, and you don't get as many of those moments because she's not able to say real, like, talk the way most kids can talk and all this kind of stuff. So I can
it,
imagine when she's able to communicate in whatever way it is, that feels good to you because you're like,
it really
you get to
does.
just know her as a
Yeah.
human. So speaking of that,
Well,
tell me more about Tova the human without EB. Tell me more about her personality.
oh my gosh, she's so funny. She loves like puppies and kitties, and she calls puppies, that's what she calls them. It's just a facial expression. And a kitty is this. This is kitty. And I'm like, you know what? That's what it is. So anytime she goes like this, I know she wants to see a kitty or she's seen a kitty. It's pretty sweet.
You guys have
And
pets?
yeah, unfortunately, they're not my favorite. I prefer the kids.
It's hilarious.
But the kids like the pets. And yeah, so that makes it tough too. But
Mhm.
yeah, she just adores them.
What else about
Um,
her personality? Who is Tova?
Tova, oh, she's a sassy, she's bossy. She is. And she's the boss baby in our family. She kind of calls the shots a lot of the time, which is pretty funny considering she's so tiny. She's like a little mouse, but she bosses everybody around. And yeah, she's just funny. She loves to play with toys, but she loves to color. And she I don't know. We should bring her in and show you my
Yeah, you
sweet little baby.
should. Is now a good
Tova. I
time to?
think Daddy's gonna bring her over.
I'm so excited. I feel like I'm gonna get to meet a celebrity.
No way, a celebrity, really?
Yeah.
Funny, I was at the children's hospital with Tova the other day and I seen a little girl dressed up in like an Elsa dress. And I like stopped. I'm like, no way, am I really meeting Elsa right now?
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
Hi, Tova.
Tova, can you say hi?
Hi, Tova. Hi.
Hi.
Oh, hi. How are you feeling today, Tova?
She's like, I'm on the table. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I know. She's like, what is going on?
Say
What have
hi.
you been doing? Have you been coloring today? Yeah.
Is it
What is
coloring?
Tova's favorite color?
Tova, what's your favorite color? We're not sure if it's pink or purple, but I love purple on her, and she likes playing
It
with
does look good in purple.
things that are purple or pink, or I
Mhm.
like
So
purple.
she's a girly girl.
I think so, yeah.
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 I
She
love your
picks out the
pigtails, Tova. Those are some cute pigtails.
cute.
I wonder if I could pull that off.
Uh,
Maybe. I think Tova has more hair than I do, so I don't know if I could pull it off.
yeah, it's tough. We got to keep it pretty tied up just because it does get stuck in her wounds, and
Mm.
the back of her head is affected as well. And
Okay, yeah, so then we just got a question. Does she have any scalp issues?
yeah, so she's got a few wounds that they're hard to heal, and I tend to cut the hairs around them just because the hair kind of like it will mat in there, right? And it makes it harder, and especially during bath time when you're trying to clean, it all of that just is not nice. And then trying to brush those things out of her hair afterwards, it definitely isn't nice. So I tend to cut it often. So she doesn't have much hair at the back of her head,
We've
which
seen
is
a
why we
lot of
keep the
babies
top
with
always up.
EB wearing like the bows or the head scarves or whatever. Why does Tova not have to do that? Is it because when like she's just not laying on her back anymore all the time like most babies do or
Um, so I actually did not, so I actually just received Tova's Tova bows, which are really, really amazing. And then I forgot them at home when I packed everything up to come to Alberta for her appointments and her surgery. So I was like, well, this is not cool.
so
But
you guys are in
it's
Alberta right now?
right now we are, yeah. Yeah, just because I didn't want to run away right away because I want to make sure everything's good before I leave to go back home. I'm just too far away for just to take any chances, right?
Are you at a hotel or
Um,
do you have family there that you can stay with or?
my mom lives in Calgary, which is where the Alberta Children's Hospital is. And ironically enough, this is actually where Kyle goes to work every summer. So kind of works out good. He stays in a camper, which is where we are right now, hanging out with daddy in his camper. Um,
You like the camper, Tova?
do you
It's
like
kind of
staying in
fun,
the
huh?
camper?
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Yeah.
We hate the camper. Um,
Oh, right.
yeah, so I was kind of trying to learn how to use them. I know when she was younger, I had a hard time figuring out how to wrap them and have them not move. And the issue was the fabric sticking to the wounds if by chance they slid, and then the wounds are getting stuck to the fabric, which causes a whole other issue. So it's kind of a learning curve that I never really got down. But for like her car seat and stuff, a lot of the time we put just a bandage on the back of her head for when she's in the car seat to prevent it from sticking to the fabric of the car seat.
Yeah, we just, talked with Chandler Langford, whose son Tucker has RDEB, and she was talking about one of the struggles they have is transferring him from his wheelchair to the car seat. And every time you do that, it's like damaging his skin. So I'm sure that's true for Tova as well, that it's like a situation to get her into a car seat.
It is, yeah. So I kept her in a bucket seat, like a baby bucket seat forever because I was terrified of taking her in and out of the vehicle. Um, so the baby bucket seat ended up working for us for a long time because she's so tiny, but she didn't end up outgrowing it. And
But even getting her out of that was a chore.
yeah, even Kyle said even getting her out of that was quite the chore. But I mean, out of the vehicle, it's easier to manipulate and you got more room. And then we went and we seen these really awesome car seats for kids that they have now that actually turn. So it like turns to the side of the vehicle so I can just put her in and take her out instead of having to do it, with her rear facing and no room and kind of like that would have just been so bad. So we bought her one of those really awesome
Pretty cool to
purses.
have a chair that rotates. I'm not
Yes,
gonna lie. I remember having like sitting backwards in like one of those old school like station wagons growing up. That was a lot of fun.
it
So,
was.
so Tova obviously has a lot of wounds around her mouth. How do you care for that? You can't put a bandage on her face. So what do you have to do for that?
We put a lot of she has a lot of different ointments that we use for that, and then we clean it with Vash, which is I don't know if you're familiar, but it's a wound solution.
The majority is Aquaphor
Yeah, we put Aquaphor on it.
and Vaseline or Destin.
We're also trying this gentamicin ointment right now, which I've heard really great things about and convinced dermatology to give me a prescription for. So we're trying it. And then she's also on a couple things called like Dovanet or Dovabet and Dovanex, which are like, I don't know what it actually is for, but dermatology said, hey, try it. So we are.
Okay.
Another ointment that I used there too. I don't remember that something like box on it or whatever.
But it's tough trying to get those areas to heal. I think specifically because we can't.
When she smiles, it's like when you and I smile, it just always moves and cracks and
Yeah, yeah.
you
Does she smile often or is it too painful for her?
She does smile, yeah. Yeah, she does.
Tova, what are you
And
reaching for right now? Is it a
the
fun
keyboard
computer?
on the
Yeah.
computer, yeah. She wants to type things.
You gonna type?
Yeah.
You gonna
What do you
type your
think,
name?
Tova?
Start with a T for Tova. Yeah.
Are you Tova?
Hmm.
Can you do
Talk to me
T?
about talk to me about going out in public with her. What's that like for you?
It's really hard. I think especially because her face is so affected, that kind of gets people off right away. Um, And like I was at a Walmart the other day and a lady stopped me. She's like, "Oh my goodness, did she get attacked by a dog?" I was like, "No, no, she has a skin disease." And it gives me a chance to educate people. But it's hard when people don't say anything and they just kind of give dirty looks as like I don't know what they're thinking, but I like it when people kind of just ask, like, because
You'd
then it does
prefer
give
them
me a
to
chance.
ask.
I do, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
But I've also had people come up to me and ask about it, and then right there in the moment ask to pray for her. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And then sit there and we pray. So
Mhm.
it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Some people can be very rude about it, and some people are very caring.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's too cute.
It was definitely a hard thing to learn. I remember when I would walk around with her. At first, it was very hard for me to learn to take the looks and everything. Right, like my wife was very much better at it than me. But over time, I've learned to use it, like she said, as a way to teach people about it and
Yeah.
make spread more awareness. Right. So
Sure. Yeah, that's definitely half the battle is
Mhm.
people being aware. Because as you said, the more awareness there is, when she was born, there wouldn't have been these like, you don't know what this is, and
Yeah.
just go home, it'll be okay.
more people that
So
are
yeah,
aware, the more people that'll actually do something to help. Right. So
Mhm.
yep. Testament right here. And people on this call as well, like we didn't know about it. And then we hear about it and we want to do something about it. And so yeah, absolutely. Awareness is how you raise funds
yeah.
for a
Mhm.
cure, for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Tova,
Mhm.
you're just so pretty.
Is you
What
pretty
color are your
girl?
eyes? What color are your eyes? Yeah, your
She's
eyes.
got blue eyes.
Blue eyes. Ooh, blue eyes are pretty. Did you get that from your mama?
She sure
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
love you.
Oh, mama. Do you
She
love
did.
mama? Yeah.
She did.
Are you mommy's
Yeah.
girl? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's
She's
so
patting the
sweet.
back of my head. You're
That's so
so sweet.
sweet. Oh my gosh, that's adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. So I was attacked by a dog actually, and
Oh
I
my goodness.
remember walking around, and at the time it like affected my arm. I called it my T-Rex arm, and people would always ask questions, and there were times that I wanted to answer, and there were times I was like, I was attacked by a shark, and then that would just stop the questions,
Oh my goodness, that's funny.
But that only vaguely, relate to going out in public and having those types of questions asked,
Yeah.
because sometimes it's like, sure, I don't mind sharing my story, and sometimes I'm just exhausted, and please just leave me alone. I just want to be a normal human.
Mhm.
So yeah, I can relate to that a little bit.
I
Yeah,
would
I get
say
that.
the worst one now is when we go to a restaurant. I think
Mm.
some people are like, why would you bring her here? We're trying to eat, kind of thing. I feel like I get those kind of looks quite a bit, but nobody ever says anything or anything. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
It's probably easy to assume that when also I can imagine if I was completely unaware of EB and who Tova was, if I were to see her in public, I would probably stare too. She looks different than everybody. And it's not like oh, she's weird, or there's no negative thoughts behind it. It's just like, oh my God, I wanna ask, I wanna know
mhm,
this is, but I also don't want to be rude. So I'm just gonna keep looking, but I don't know how to approach this because
mhm,
no one knows. I'm sure there are people who would rather you just not say anything. And then there's other people who would rather you come up and ask a question. So people
Yeah.
just don't know how to handle when someone's not like them.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely I could see how that could be tough for people too, because even for me, like would I ask somebody? Probably,
Right.
I don't think I would. I
Right.
would just, you know,
Hmm.
but as a mother to Tova, who you can visually see is different than the rest. She has, I appreciate when people do ask instead of
Yeah.
assuming, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
I've
good
seen in
lesson for us
yeah,
to just ask.
yeah.
Do
Oh
you
yeah.
have
It's
any
pretty
recommendations on how to ask in a nice way that's not like offensive, Like, is there rules or, you
I don't
know?
think there is. I think it's just the blunter the better. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I get a lot of what's wrong with her. And
Mhm.
I'm like, well, she just has a skin disease. Like she has a skin condition, and I tell them the name of it. I tell them, what it is and how it affects her, and just That's all. It's just an opportunity, I think, to educate people. And even if they come off rude at first, I'm never rude back because I know that they don't mean to be, right? They're just curious. And maybe that's just who I am, where I'm very much a kill 'em with kindness kind of person. So I try not to be rude to anybody really. But for sure, I just educate where I can.
What is your biggest hope for Tova?
Somebody asked me this one time, and thankfully it was over a message, like a messenger message. And it took me a long time to reply, and I was in tears the entire time because I hope everything for Tova. I hope to see her grow and to flourish, and I hope to attend her kindergarten graduation and see her go through all of her grades and meet her best friend. And I want to see her graduate, and I want to know what she goes on to be when she grows up. And I want to walk her, down the aisle someday, and I want to bring her everywhere. I want her to enjoy. I want her to see fireflies and fireworks and all the beauty that the world has to offer. I want to bring her to the four corners and see everything and do everything. So it's hard for me to just pin it down to something so simple as like, what's your hope? Oh, Tova, you silly little girl. She's messing with the screen.
Don't end the call, Tova.
I think she's just making more windows.
Oh, that's cool. Maybe you'll be a computer scientist.
I just want to play.
But I'd like to, I don't know, I'd like to see hopefully one day there be a cure for her and everybody else dealing with this.
Yeah.
That would be my main thing is no longer suffering. So.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's what we all want for sure. Yeah. Do you guys, so we're going to wrap this up. Do you guys have like a GoFundMe or a wish list or anything that if people wanted to help out your family?
Yeah, Tova has my nose, first of all.
Are you trying to get mama's attention? That's how you get mama's attention.
Yeah. So Tova has a GoFundMe and a wish list. On her TikTok page, there's a link me with all the links on there. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, one thing we didn't get a chance to talk about. I'm sorry, Kyle, continue. What were you going to say?
In September, I'm going to a dragon boat challenge or a race for Deborah Canada. So I am very happy about that, and I'm very excited. It's just around the corner. So
yeah, that's coming up so fast. How is it already August? I don't understand.
Yeah, I know.
But speaking of Deborah Canada, so Jordyn, tell us about, so you just got on the board at Deborah Canada.
I did.
What is that like? And what is your goal for joining the board?
I am so happy to be able to make a difference in people's lives. So being on the board with Deborah Canada gives me the option, or I mean, it's like a megaphone for my voice, right? I'm able to reach out to other people, and not just as a, I hate to say it, but not just as a person or a mother, but as an organization, as a nonprofit. And I'm able to scream from the rooftops and have somebody listen because I'm associated with a board. And that means the world to me because I want so badly to raise awareness. And along with raising awareness, you always raise funds. And that's kind of how those things start out in a sense, which is really amazing because Deborah Canada is an amazing organization that helps so many families. And being on the board, I see so much more than what I thought. So it's really amazing.
What does Deborah Canada do to help families?
So Deborah Canada helps with medical assistant funds. So medically, if there's something that we can't, reach within our family that we need for Tova, they give us the option to put in an application, and a board of directors go over the application and look at all the situation and say yay or nay on whether, you're approved for funding for that. They can also help with things like Tova had no coverage for the formula that she needed. And we were going through so much of it. It was costing like $300 a month just for the
Buying it
formula.
off the black market.
Yeah.
It was cheaper. So.
We were buying it off of like a Facebook marketplace in wherever we were just to get it at a cheaper rate because it was so expensive. But Deborah Canada, I had put in an application and they ended up sending us like 6 months worth of formula right off the bat. So I was so thankful for that.
Not just formula, but Vaseline, Aquaphor, Destin.
Yeah. They
6 months worth of everything that we've been using that I've been paying out of pocket for. And it was a bit overwhelming at first.
So it took us a year and a half of paying for everything out of pocket before we realized that was even an option. And then I applied for it, and it was really nice. They sent us, like, even her vitamins, they sent us like 6 months worth of the vitamins that she needed. And so it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is awesome. Let me see this chat. How has sharing her story on TikTok impacted your life?
It's impacted graciously. So
many good people on TikTok, man. It's quite the community there. It's absolutely been a blessing, and it's also been a cursing because there's been a lot of people who steal Tova's photos
and videos,
and then use them for their own gain. So it's kind of how much did we share too much at first? Should we have balanced the sharing more? Or how do we go about it? So.
Yeah, but it's been nice to be able to gain a sense of community. Like, we've met so many other EB families, and I know for sure that even just seeing Tova's story, it had given another family, I know for sure because they said so, I'm not going to say who it is, but the confidence to be able to share their story and to never mind the people that are like, oh, you abuse your child and this child, like, there's a lot of that we get that we have to filter out all the time. How many
people are blocked on her TikTok?
Yeah. I mean, there are some people who are just going to find negative things and say, no matter what the situation is. I mean, you can post about liking a pair of shoes and someone's going to have something negative to say. That's just the internet and social media. But have you guys seen like kind of an uptick in her followers since Ellie shared, Hannah shared Ellie's story? Because that's how most of us in Eliana's Army came to know about it, because she went viral. And now we all follow all the EB babies that we can find. Have you guys noticed an uptick in like awareness and stuff this year?
For sure.
Yeah. And I find that there is like a lot of, like, when I'm scrolling like TikTok feed or whatever it is, there's a lot of reposts of the EB families and Eliana specifically, right? There's a lot of that, which is really amazing.
Yeah. Have you guys had a chance to meet in person any other child with junctional EB or family who has gone through that?
Not with junctional EB. We went for appointments in December in the Children's Hospital, and they happened to be doing like a Calgary Flames day where there was like some players there, old players, new players. And they were like making gingerbread cookies with the kids and doing crafts and stuff. So we were at one of those, and I happened to look over and I recognized I didn't recognize the boy, but I recognized that he had EB. He did not have junctional EB, but he had EB. And I look over at Kyle and I said, look, Kyle, like, I can't believe I'm actually seeing another person with EB here in Canada, like in person. It was so crazy. So anyways, he did his craft. We did our craft with Tova, and I watched him walk by us, and he must have went and found his mom and got their signatures or whatever. So we pick up Tova and we go and I hunt for them, and I connected with the mom, and it was the most beautiful thing. Her and I were both in tears, and it was really nice to be able to connect. We exchanged phone numbers. We were able to take a picture of Tova and her little boy together. Just, and maybe she thought it was weird. I don't know. I've never posted it anywhere because I don't have her permission to do so, but it's just for my own, like, I couldn't believe it in the moment that we were really seeing another person with EB here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's such a small community.
Hmm.
And then also at the same time, a bigger community than I thought. Like Deborah America posted a picture yesterday. They were talking about their Cincinnati meetup or whatever. And I was like, I'm going to look at this picture and I bet I'm going to know at least half the people there because of just what I do. And nope, I only recognize one person in that entire massive crowd of people who are affected by EB, And so
Yeah.
it's a bigger community than you'd think, but everyone's all spread out and you never get a chance to actually meet these people. Does
Mhm.
Deborah Canada have meetups like Deborah America does, where like conferences where you can go to and like meet other families or
No,
anything?
but Deborah Canada sends a couple members, I think, every year to the meetups. I don't know if it's the meetups or the care conferences in the US. So we look forward to hopefully being able to go next year, which would be really, really amazing. But what Deborah Canada does is we have like a youth group, which is really cool. So between the ages of, say, I think it's 16 to 30 or something like that, they have a special little council that, like, they'll do like video virtual paint nights and things like that, so all the members can virtually come together and have a good time doing something.
Yeah, it's got to be nice, especially that's such a hard age to not have anyone like you around you.
Yeah.
So one of the other questions we have, and we've kind of touched on this, but how do members of the EB community help each other and provide each other with support?
um
Experience.
a lot of it is like experience and advice, and just general support. It's a matter of, like, I've done it to others. I know I don't have EB, but raising somebody like with EB, it has given me the confidence to be able to tell somebody else, whether they're raising somebody with EB or have EB themselves, I'm here for you. If you want to talk, if you want to vent, if you want to scream, I'm here for you. Like, you want to trash talk EB, let's do so. And then after, we're gonna, virtually hug, because I don't live close to anybody that I can do these things in person, but I'm here either way. And you know I've I've sent things to a family that needed supplies because I knew that they needed them, and these were things that I could spare. I sent them off because, that's just what we do. We need to support each other, and a lot of us do support each other in those ways, right?
Yeah. What about for those of us who aren't directly involved in I mean, I don't have a child with EB. I don't know anybody personally with EB other than who I've met through Eliana's Army. So for those of us who want to help, what's the best thing that we can do to support the EB community?
I think it comes down to like the raising awareness. You guys are doing amazing. And just, again, I guess listening to what's being said, what the needs are. And if, I don't know, that's a hard one, because
Yeah.
even me, sometimes I feel like, am I contributing positively, which is what all I want to do, is be positive, right?
Sure.
um and even like connecting people. So if somebody's asking for, has if you notice somebody asking, has anybody dealt with this situation, you can always say, oh, I know somebody who's dealt with that, let me reach out to them and see if I can share their, and then just kind of things like that, right? Connecting
Sure.
people, because you guys kind of are more of a middle person. You have lots of connections that maybe we don't all have ourselves, so that's
Sure.
definitely
Yeah,
helpful.
it's definitely a learning curve. I'm still trying to
Hmm.
learn all the different things about, like, I'm definitely not an EB expert whatsoever, but I know how to do a social media post, so
Yeah.
I just do what I can do.
Yeah.
And I do find myself like wearing Eliana's Army shirts all the time. And I like wearing the Halle Gray shirt that came in. I don't have my Tova one yet, but I will. And
Hmm.
when I wear those shirts, it is like 9 times out of 10, someone asks me what that is. and I get a chance to just share about EB
Yes.
and
Yeah.
about whatever child might be represented on my shirt and
Yes.
telling their story. And I have found that almost every single person who knows about this want like, oh my gosh, that's awful. How could I help? What could I do? In fact, don't judge me, but I go and get Botox because some of us are not blessed with natural beauty. And so I went to go get Botox and I had on an Eliana's Army shirt. And the lady started asking me, the lady doing my Botox owns the actual med spa. And I was telling her about it. And she goes, I have never heard of that. I was like, well, would you be willing to like have a fundraiser night? Because like your whole business is skin. And this is a skin disease. So would you be, and she was like, absolutely. And so now in later at the end of this month, she already had an open house planned for something else. And she's just like, I'm going to give you a percentage of the proceeds from that night. And you come set up a table and just share about this disease. And I was like, I would love that. So you just never know in what areas of your life you can just share about this disease and how people might want to be willing to help. And
Yeah.
it doesn't even take that much extra work, you know?
No, it doesn't.
So,
No.
are you drinking chocolate milk?
She is. Her dad
Oh
gave her a
my
little
gosh,
treat.
that's
Oh
my
my goodness.
favorite. That's my favorite. Is it yummy? Yeah.
It's the first time she's ever had one of those. It's a Pediasure, but it's chocolate flavor. Little
Ooh,
treat, eh?
that is so yummy.
Hmm. Yeah, we tend to do that too, where anywhere we go, especially because we have Tova, and it's always a chance to just raise that awareness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we appreciate that, especially I think I've told you before, even though you're not directly affected, you are affected by EB, but you're not directly affected
Right.
necessarily. And for you to be willing to spread all that awareness and do what you can
Such a
do,
great thing you're doing.
it is an amazing thing.
Well, we as an organization exist to at least change the tagline that it's the worst disease you've never heard of.
Yeah.
And then from there, hopefully we can convince everyone to fund it and get a cure because
Mhm.
no one should have to go through that amount of pain. Speaking of pain, sorry, I'm going back a little bit. Does she have pain meds? Does she have to always be on some form of pain management?
Yeah. So you want to lay her down for me?
Those little
She,
footy
oh, I
putties up
think
in
she
the
was
air.
enjoying being a celebrity there.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she's just in the camera.
So Tova is on a pain regimen. It's not a lot, like she doesn't do the morphine and stuff like that, but she's on a medication that helps relieve pain, but it also relieves the itchiness because Tova is extremely itchy. So that's a big thing for her. Her pain medication isn't something that makes her like drowsy at all, which is really amazing. And that was the one thing that I was like, I don't want her on morphine because I don't like the way that that makes me feel, let alone anybody else, right? And I don't want her drugged all the time, but I don't want her in pain either. So trying to find the balance between the two has been tough. And Tova only actually just started within the last probably 4 or 5 months this new pain regimen. Before it was just like Tylenol and Advil, which is crazy because I was like, that's not enough. But I also didn't want her drugged, and the doctors never really suggested anything else. So
Yeah, that's a really tough line to walk, and that's a common um, struggle that I've heard from EB parents of am I not doing enough for her pain? Because, I don't want it to alter her personality and just to sleep all the time, but I
yeah,
also don't want her to be in pain. And that's very hard. And
yeah,
especially when they can't communicate incredibly clearly about what they're experiencing. That's very tough. So
yeah.
you wish you could say, "Oh, it's at a level 7. Can I get a dose now?" But
Mhm.
she can't do that. So you have to just learn her cues, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. And it was hard. It was hard at first to learn those cues, but I think that it was easier knowing that I was like at first it was only like Tylenol or Advil, and Advil was only at certain times because Advil's not really like Tylenol's not good for you either, but Advil's really hard on your body. So we we didn't do Advil very often, but Tylenol was one thing that, if I gave it to, I only gave it to her when she needed it. And always before bath because that is excruciating. And realistically, when I wanted Tova to have something for pain, I made it very clear that I only wanted something for bath time, but they said it's probably a good thing to have her on what she's on because she's so itchy. Like she was it was keeping her up at night. She was being so itchy all the time, and then her being itchy causes more issues because she's rubbing, whether it's her legs together, she crickets them together, or she's like actively trying to scratch. And so I'm grateful that they put her on what they put her on. Do I think that it helps a lot during bath time? Not necessarily, but it's a start. But I do appreciate that she's not drowsy all the time and she is herself still.
Do you have to, I mean, what's it like giving her a bath, knowing it's hurting her? Obviously, as parents, you wouldn't do it if it wasn't for her best interest. So you have to do it. But talk to me about that emotionally. And I'm sure when she was infant Tova versus now, those feelings have changed a little bit too. But what is that like for you?
It's horrible. Like, and so I always talk her through it the whole entire time. Like, Tova, I know, like, it's just gonna be quick. We only have to be in here for, X amount of time. Like, let's just get your legs washed. Oh, let's just get your hands washed and your arms, and we're just gonna wash your hair really quick. And I try and talk to her the whole time, like, it's okay, I'm right here. I'm so sorry. And I find myself telling her all the time, I'm so sorry, honey. I just need to get you clean. Like, I'm so sorry. And then after, when I take her out of the bath, I always wrap her in a nice cozy towel and just give her the biggest hugs. And she always wants her bottle right after. Doesn't matter what's in it, she just wants it. So even if it's a bottle of water, she's like, I just sucking on the bottle is soothing for her. I know she's 2 and shouldn't be on a bottle, but it's soothing, and that's what we do because life is short and you never know, right?
Absolutely.
So but yeah, we just cuddle for a couple minutes afterwards and she usually calms down, and then she feels so amazing after her bath and she's all dressed, like her dressings are all done and she gets her silky pajamas on and she always just feels so good after, and she's in such a good mood.
Yeah,
Oh,
don't we all feel better after a really good shower or bath, like, and just feel like, you know? But yeah, I can imagine that's really hard putting your child through pain, even though you know it's for their best interests. It's something that
I shed so many tears
or take for granted, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a tough part of, one of the toughest parts is having her in the bath and hear her screaming because she's in pain, obviously, and she's uncomfortable, and there's nothing you can do because you have to clean her.
That's very hard.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine, as we learned from Ann Davis last month, like, I want to say I can't imagine, but the truth is I can, and it's just awful. So anyways, is there anything else you wanted to share about Tova, life with EB, or anything about your family before we get off?
I don't think so. I think that we've touched on a lot of great topics, and
yeah,
and I'm always open if anybody has any other questions that they want to bring up, or if they want to learn more about anything. I'm always open to have those conversations.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Jordyn. This was amazing, and I'm so glad I got to meet Tova, the celebrity.
I know,
She
right?
is a little star.
Oh, she's so funny, that one.
I know. I know. Well, yeah, I really appreciate your time. Anyone listening and watching this, go get your Tova shirts, available in August only, on our website, and we'll link to it when we post this as well. We'll link to it so everyone can get those. But yeah, I really appreciate your time. Tell Kyle thank you. Tell Tova thank you.
Yes,
Where are the rest of the kids right now? Are they in the RV too? Or are they?
I have my 7-year-old and my 4-year-old are here. And then my older 2 got to go and spend the night with my mom.
Nice.
So they took that opportunity and ran with it.
School started back there?
No.
No.
We start back in September.
Oh, that's nice. Most of our schools started last week. I'm like, really? It's not even August.
When is summer break for you guys? Like, when do you guys get out?
It's probably different. Caitlin, you can probably speak. You're up in the northern US, but here in the South, we've started August 1st is usually when people start school back here. So
Are you
yeah, I
guys
don't know
done
if it's
in June too? Like you guys
done.
only
No,
get
done in
one?
May, early May, usually.
So we
Yeah,
go, our summer break is from June to September.
Mhm.
got it.
Yep.
Is that true
Yeah,
for you too, Caitlin?
it's the same. Yep.
Yeah, got it. All right.
Crazy.
Yeah. Okay, well, yeah, Alex just put the link to the shirts in the chat. So if anyone would like to get those, that's where you can find it. All right. Well,
And
Jordyn,
Laura,
thank you. Yes.
Laura mentioned the proceeds go to Deborah Canada.
Yes, all
That's
proceeds from sales of Tova shirt go to Deborah Canada.
Awesome.
Yeah. So thank you
All right. Thank you
guys.
guys for your time.
We'll talk later.
yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.